every single agile conference, management article, and corporate slide deck loves to preach one buzzword, and that is shift left. We are told that quality isn't something that's only happening at the end of the cycle, that the testers should be involved from the get-go. They should sit down with product owners, analyze the requirements, talk about the doubts, and thus prevent bugs before even one single line of code is written. And that sounds fantastic on paper, but let's talk about what actually happens on a random Thursday afternoon. The sprint is ending in 48 hours. The gigantic feature that is so poorly written you can barely look at it, that the developers spent the last 8 days arguing over, suddenly lands in the QA column. The description on the ticket is literally one sentence, and herein comes the Slack message from the project manager that just politely asks you, hey, can we check this quickly before tomorrow, because we really need to deploy, and if anything is off, then we'll just fix it with a hotfix on production, so if you could just sign this off. If this sounds familiar, and I bet it does, you are not experiencing an agile process, you are experiencing corporate gaslighting. In this video, we are going to take a look at why the shift-left movement became a cover-up for poor management, and what can you do in order to stop partaking in this poorly written piece of theater. So buckle up and let's go for a ride through the shift-left territory. And to start off, we need to talk about shift-left in principle, because in theory, it's a really good methodology. What's not to like about it? The core theory makes perfect sense. The sooner you find a bug, the cheaper and easier it is to fix, because it's way easier to fix something in the feature description by just changing one sentence at the beginning of a sprint, rather than finding something in production which actually costs you money and costs you time to provide a hotfix and also to deal with the users which are really dissatisfied with what you're providing. And so, no wonder that management loves this chart. They look at it, they buy a couple more consulting hours, only to be able to finally declare that we are a shifting left company. We are a modern engineering organization. We are among the big fishes. But they forget one fundamental rule. You cannot shift quality left if your delivery timeline remains a rigid, unyielding bottleneck, shift it all the way to the right. In reality, shifting left usually just means piling more architectural expectations onto QA without providing them with any structural authority. Testers are now expected to attend 3 more hours of meetings to review poorly written user stories and predict edge cases for features which haven't even been architectured yet. But when the actual development work runs late, because of course development is notoriously hard to predict, then the deadline doesn't move. The testing window gets squeezed into a microscopic panic window. And the reason this crosses the line from simply a process failure into an actual gaslighting territory is how the blame is distributed when things inevitably blow up. Because when a bug bypasses the rushed, high-stress panic window and somehow gets on production, the management rarely looks at the developers whom took 90% of the time during that sprint. They also rarely look at the product owner who wrote a feature so vague and ambiguous that this could mean 3 different things. Instead, they turn to the QA team during the retrospective and ask, how did we miss this? I thought we were a shift-left company. I thought you were supposed to catch things early because of this new methodology that we implemented. And this is a toxic psychological trap because it forces the testers to feel personally responsible for systemic failures. You are handed a broken product at the 11th hour, denied the time to run comprehensive regression passes, forced to sign off under immense peer pressure and then blamed for not having the psychic ability to foresee every single bug, to predict every single possible edge case that may arise in all the multiverses of the world we live in. The terminology of quality assurance is actively used to shield bad management from the consequences of unrealistic shipping deadlines. So how do you stop taking part in this corporate theater without burning your career to the ground? You have to move away from the emotional complaints and start using cold, hard data to make the delivery bottleneck clearly visible to the business. First, you need to start tracking the metrics ruthlessly. Don't only track how many bugs you found. Start measuring artifact velocity. Document exactly when a ticket entered the development stage, when it landed in the QA column, and how much of the sprint was actually left for the QA part of it. So when management asks why a regression suite wasn't fully run, you don't just say we didn't have time. You have actual data, actual time chart to show them and to tell them the feature was delivered to us when there was only 6% of the sprint left. The whole quality gate needs 24 hours to run, and so the bottleneck is structural and not operational on the side of the QA. Secondly, enforce real definitions of ready standards. If shifting left means analyzing requirements early, this should mean that you have the right to reject a story before a developer even touches it. If a ticket misses clear acceptance criteria, boundary values, description, or data requirements, you flag it immediately. If they push through anyway, you explicitly document that the testing surface is unknown. And finally, stop saving the day. If you spend the whole Friday up until midnight to fully test a rushed feature just to meet an artificial deadline, you are not being a hero. You are hiding the broken process. You are teaching the management that the toxic timeline works. By shielding them from the consequences of their poor planning, you are making sure that the next sprint will be exactly the same. And once again, don't get me wrong, shifting left is a fantastic engineering concept, but it requires some organizational and cultural maturity in order to work. It requires a shared engineering ownership and management which actually values the stability of the product over a green check mark on the Jira board. And until your organization checks all those boxes and treats quality as a shared responsibility rather than a chore which is just pushed to the end of each sprint just to rush through it and just sign it off and be over and done with, shift left will just become a meaningless buzzword on the pitch deck. And I'm really interested in real stories from your projects. How often do you actually get features delivered on time? And how often are you pushed into this high-stress panic window at the end of the sprint? Let me know your experiences in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Testimony channel for more raw, unpolished discussions on the quality engineering mindset and life, and I'll see you in the next video. And until then, as always, remember to keep on rocking.